Welcome back to Business 101. Today we're going to look at the business model canvas as a very important analytical tool. I'm going to go through all of these 9 areas within the business model canvas. We'll start with customer segments. When looking at customer segments, we're looking at our company's different customer segments. It might be the mass market, where we're more or less targeting everybody. Might be a niche market where we're very close and we have a very tight relationship. Might be segmented, diversified, and it might also be multi-sided, like Facebook. The value proposition. Here we're talking about what is the value created in the company that we want to bring to our customers. It might be quite simple and it might be very complex, and it might be different from customer segment to customer segment. So that's why it's really important to be aware of your value proposition, because this is what defines your company and this is what makes you stand out to other companies. So in a customer's mind, the value proposition is what makes you different to other companies. Might be newness, performance, customization, extended product, design, the brand, price, cost reduction, risk reduction, accessibility, convenience, usability. This list we can write as long as ever. We won't be able to stop. It differs, of course, from company to company, but it's really important to make sure that you find the right value proposition whenever analyzing a company. Channels is both part of sales and it's also different phases that we're looking at when we're creating our sales. So first of all, how do we sell it? Do we have a sales force going to companies? That might be very optimal if you're selling B2B. Are you selling online? Do you have your own stores? Do you have partner stores? Or is it wholesale? These are things you of course have to take into consideration, because these things should of course fit your customer segment. So the channels have to fit the customer segments, but it also has to fit the value proposition. And again, the different customer segments might want different channels, and they might also sometimes have different value propositions for different customer segments, and therefore selling it through different channels. Customer segments are expecting some kind of relationship. Again, different customer segments expect different customer relationships. So you have to be aware of, is it personal assistance, dedicated personal assistance? It might be self-service, automated service. You might create communities for your customers. You might give your customers a chance to be co-creating your product or your value proposition. Again, all of these things are things you have to take into mind when you're looking at what our value proposition is and what customer segment fits to this value proposition, and how should then the relationship be between the value proposition and the customer segment. Now the revenue streams are now looking at what are our customers willing to pay for. So they're paying for the value proposition, and we of course have to make sure that our value proposition is so valuable to the customer segments that they're willing to pay a price above the cost per product. You can pay in many different ways and have revenue streams in many different ways. Asset sales, usage fee, subscription fee, lending, renting, leasing, licensing, brokerage fees, advertisement, fixed or dynamic pricing mechanisms, might also come into play. And this is, of course, really important, again. And you might be able to create more than one revenue stream. Very big companies, they're able to do this. Like Apple, you'll buy their products, you'll then use their app store. If there's any payments in the apps, some of that payment will go to Apple, and the same goes for Google, for example. So creating different revenue streams and making sure that the revenue stream you're creating again fits the customer segment and is well fitted to the value proposition. When we're looking at key resources, then again we want our key resources to be able to feed our value proposition, our distribution channel, so that our customer relationship and our revenue streams will keep on coming and the customer relationship will be ever better. So when you're analyzing key resources, it's important that you are looking at them as the most important resources. Also, having a little bit of lean thoughts when looking at key resources, because we might have a lot of resources we're not actually using, or they're not actually important to our value proposition, then they might not be that important. Normally we could look at physical resources like data warehouses, production facilities. We'd look at intellectual property, brands, patents, customer databases. We might have some human resources, some crucial knowledge or very creative employees, and then we might have some financial resources, simply just having more money or having good relationship with the banks, so we have good credit lines, we have good corporate credit rating. These things are a key resource, and these should of course be able to make our value proposition better. Again, we're looking at key activities should make our value proposition better. So all the different key activities should be able to create a better value proposition to our customers, and again also of course create a better distribution channel, give a customer relationship which is expected from our customer segments, and again also looking at the revenue streams and supporting these. Key activities could be, for example, production, design, making and delivering the product. It could also be problem solving. It could be a platform or network. Key partnerships. Again, we want to look at who are our key partners. And our key partners, again, should be partners that are supporting our value proposition. We want to know who they are. We want to know if there are some that are more important than others. We want to know what resources we're acquiring. And we want to know which key activities these partners perform for us. And of course, this is important. We don't want partners suddenly being able to perform the activities which are the most important activities to our value proposition. So we don't want them to perform our key competencies. Now there might be some 3 different reasons for creating partnerships: optimization and economies of scale. It might be better for us to outsource parts of the production simply because other companies are better at it, meaning they'll be able to create it, different parts of our product at a lower cost, and they'll also be maybe even better at creating it. We could also cooperate to reduce risk and uncertainty, to create standards. That's also a possibility. We could also acquire particular resources and activities. Other firms could simply just supply needed capabilities and resources like patents, sales channels. When we're looking at a lot of toy companies, a lot of their key partners are linked to movies that kids really like. In the end, we'll look at cost structure. We'll look at which key resources are most expensive, which key activities are most expensive. And of course, we're again looking at, are we cost driven? So do we want to make a cost advantage? So is our value proposition linked to a low price, or is our value proposition differentiation? Then our cost structure might be allowed to be higher than if we're cost driven. Now, all in all, this model should help companies guide them to future development by looking at this model and then looking at all 9 areas and seeing where is the need to innovate to keep up with our customers and to keep up with the market.
Thank you very much for watching. I enjoyed it, and I hope you're aware of how important the value proposition is as a model. It's really good at analyzing how a company's value proposition fits all the other areas, and it's really good tool to understand what you should do in your company to make even more value to your customers. So thank you very much, and I hope to see you all again soon.